Go live here. Click create a broadcast there. I pop out chat from YouTube. All right, music volume should be good there. Now I can do the YouTube part. We should be good. All right. Oh, now I gotta pop out the chat for you, Twitter. Not that many people chat over on the Twitter yet, but, you know, it could happen. And yeah, cool, there we go. Cool, and they liked my sharing of that Keygen SH article, so yeah, I feel like I'm doing good. Every once in a while I feel like I'm not doing enough at work. And I think, you know, getting some good validation on my efforts, especially like this past week or two. So yeah, pumped. Okay, so let's look at this. We put a major dent into this yesterday. So we should probably finish off the margarita stuff, right? Okay. So yeah, let's do this. One sec. Let me grab the margarita mix that's still in here. And yeah, any fun plans for the week, anybody? I got Seattle JS coming up Wednesday, which I should let the gaming friends know about. Yeah, I bet. Yep. Yeah, it's really interesting. At the end of the day, like, it's whatever. I'll take $2.50. Thank you. You know, as long as I disable the voice bot part. And oh shit. I forgot to salt the rim. Whatever. We'll deal with it. So, Owen, the Anon troll is someone who anonymously is gifting subs to accounts that might not even exist, or they do exist, but their names are somewhat trolly. The last one was Biden's OnlyFans, and the ones before that were like Trump ones and stuff like that. Right? So technically, they're spending money to do it. So, whatever. I'll take $2.50. They know that most people have like an anti-politics rule in their streams. Oh, yeah, exactly. I play games. Technically, I know they've been hitting Coding with Strangers and, you know, just a bunch of streams. So yeah, it's weird, but whatever. I'm wondering if it's only this category, or if it's kind of just all over Twitch. It's tough because some people have somewhat trolly names. You know, like trying to remember the somewhat trolly one we have, who's actually like a really good person and hangs out here all the time, or at least like often enough. Art streaming is kind of like a smaller category, though, isn't it? Maybe not. I don't know. Chatting on a yoinked phone. That's another good one. That could be misconstrued as trolly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of. There's Goddamn I Love Myrtle Beach. There's that one. There's a couple of them like that, where they're great people. You know, super chill, but their names are a bit trolly. It happens. Simon has a dude that's a regular in his stream named No Condom Chris. Cool dude. The name is, a little, right? Smack My Witch Up. Also, somewhat questionable name, but you're a totally fine person. What we're getting at is that, there are great people that have names they probably created when they were a little younger, a little edgier. And now it's part of their identity, so, there's no need to change it, right? Oof. Yeah, that one seems really brutal. But that's on Twitch, right? Twitch should have word filters like that prevent something like that. Yeah, I think it's okay, Jens, but, as long as we're nice about it. We're not trying to drag anyone through the mud or anything. They changed their name, which is awesome, but Twitch didn't force them to do that, right? I mean, age is, in the mind, right? Like, in the eye of the beholder. So, do you feel like you've grown at all? I would guess maybe. If not, well then, yeah. At some point, you'll probably look back at this name and be like, yeah, that was me just being edgy. But maybe not. Maybe you're stoked on it. That's fine. I'm not trying to make you feel bad about it. Just pointing out that that is a pretty common approach, where someone has a name they create when they're a bit younger, and then as they age, it's maybe not necessarily what they would have chosen anymore. Yeah. Ian has mentioned that one before. Yeah. So they used to have their name all lowercase, and they had that problem a lot more. And Ian does kind of lurk here from time to time. He's not here today. Since the MIRC era. Yep, yeah, I remember. MIRC is how I saw American Pie before it was even released to theaters. Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right, so the part that we're working on today, we want to create a box plot, which we've got an example from somewhere. Yeah, right, this. So here we see that the data is kind of like separated into its own buckets. Okay. So then y0, y1. So what we end up wanting to do is yeah, we need to format this data. So parse CSV here. What I want to do is look at what we get in the terminal, right? And we got these things bumped out. I think what we'll end up doing is just picking the first items that we can get the plots kind of like shown there. But then we want some way of being able to switch between these things. Because what I want to be able to do is turn these off individually. So looking at what we got here, we only get a Y value. Oh, so this is how we could end up doing that. Ah, got it. Maybe a box plot isn't the right way to go either. Man, yeah, Plotly is really nice. I didn't think some of these would be as simple as they are. But I'm also not sure what the right way to like toggle some of these are. So yeah, I think there's going to be a bunch of logic we're going to have to write to be able to like switch and toggle which things get displayed. For now, we'll just do it with the first item in the 100 data result part. So what I want to do now is maybe create another function, right? And this one's going to be parse data into box plot data. Sure. It's a little verbose. So what we end up taking in is the CSV string still. Oh, you know what? Hold on. This is parse CSV. So this is parse CSV into data. And then we're going to have a parse CSV at the top. So parsed data is then parse CSV into data. And then from here, right, we see that this is a thing of rows, and that thing of rows is what we do here. So then this is rows. That. So yeah, let's just do the basic one. So this interface is yeah, hold on, let me check something. Yeah, Plotly seems really good. So, boxed rows or a boxed row? Box right, so a boxed row ends up then having the Y, which is boxed data, and the type is box. Yeah. I've got that wrong. And there we just output an array of boxed data. Yeah, I think so. So that returns boxed data. This is then parse data into boxplot data, and we call that good. So then this part, we're not using that yet. Damn, tab 9. But no, so what I end up wanting to do is not quite this. So let me double check this. Boxed data, oh, is not that. Where do we see the label for trace 0, trace 1 popping in? Oh, I think I'm getting it. I think they might have been right here. We'll just do this. Or I don't think this is going to be correct. But here we should be able to just take parsed data and do that. And what does that change our rendering into? Aha, not what we were looking for. Let the types get inferred there. Oh, interesting. So that's kind of close. All right, so I think there's something I'm mistaking in here. Yeah, there's something I'm misunderstanding about how to graph this data right. Is there an AI that we could just pass the CSV to? AI generate plot graph from CSV. And what up, chatting? How you doing? Yeah, let me find these files. You'll sleep whenever I end stream? We got a couple more hours. So, you know, no need to, like, force yourself. Oh, I like that. Yes, we're able to parse the CSV into these right here, but I want to try and get it to generate a graph from what we're trying to do. Try Claude. Sure, I'll give it a shot. Google Sheets does the trick? Maybe. So they're doing a bar chart. Let's at least see what it looks like real quick. All right, let me look at the layout data we're passing. The width, we probably want to make, I don't know, 640. Yeah, so I don't think this gives us like a good visualization. And maybe I need to parse the data a different way. So, I think I see what we're doing here. What I might want to do instead is kind of invert the grouping. So right now, it's the y is that, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. When instead, I might want to parse it into the x being the name of the algorithms. And the... hold on, let me think about this. Yeah, and their value, right? So it would be... the y would be the actual value for that bucket of 20 inside of this thing, right? And then we'd just have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So instead of parse into box plot data, we want to take the rows and actually map over them a totally different way. And maybe not even map, maybe just a for loop. Oh, a magically cursed latex syntax? Yeah, I think I'm good on that one. So yeah. We're going to create a new function here, similar to this one. But what I end up wanting to do is... instead of boxed data, and instead of this name, this is going to be parse data into groups. Percentage groups. So then this is going to be, and I mean, for each would be fine. I think the variable naming becomes easier. Ooh, and hold on. I did actually kind of like that. Right. Technically, total's easy, but we don't get that total in any other major way, so we just kind of have to add it up here. We probably don't want to modify the row directly. All right, so this is going to be const x. All right, we'll do x.push. Row.algorithm. me double check. I think I'm thinking about this wrong now. And then y can actually be the array we definitely want x to be grouped like that. Y is then going to be that. Row y So then if I do this, yeah. So the way I'm trying to group these, my brain is having a hard time wrapping itself around. I basically just want to invert how we're doing this. So then I want to take something like this. We want to map over it. We're going to call this bucket. Oh. Oh, and yeah, I've got this part hard-coded. So I think that's still going to be broken for us. Okay, so we're not grouping those together properly. All right, so then how do we end up styling the Plotly stuff? Show legend. Got it. Okay. So we're still not doing this quite right. It doesn't like the way we're doing the data. Property of type, not compatible. String is not assignable to type violin. That actually makes that parse better. But we're not getting the grouping. So, yeah, let me look at what we're logging here. It gives us an array of 56 things, which might be a bit much. Ooh, the Y value being undefined, though. That would be an issue. Y dot map. Oh, okay, so hold on. Yeah, the way we're doing this Y mapping is the problem now. Hey, what's up, Purple Elf? How you doing? Yeah, cheers.
Thanks for the support. Purple Elf, the master of chromatic manipulation, harnesses the power to bend and twist the very essence of colors to their will. Originating from a cosmic anomaly within a nebula rich with vibrant hues, Purple Elf was bathed in otherworldly energy, granting them the unique ability to control the emotional and physical states of beings through color. By casting shades and tints, they can induce fear, calm, or even pain, making them a formidable foe. Their outfit mirrors the ever-shifting spectrum of their powers, primarily adorned in dynamic shades of purple, signifying their mastery over the color spectrum. Their arch-nemesis, Spectrum Guard, is the only hero immune to the influence of Purple's chromatic powers, thanks to a suit made of light refractive materials, and vows to protect the world from the tyranny of emotional and physical manipulation. The battle between chromatic chaos and harmonic light defines their eternal conflict.
That was a good one. So, like, had you started the raid yet? Because if you start the raid and then, like, disconnect while the raid's still ticking down, it'll still actually go through. That's how I've been able to raid this channel from my gaming channel in the mornings, like when I've done that before. But you're rated with 42 people. That's like the perfect number. So thank you. Brown Hounds, thank you for the follow. You're doing your outro, saying goodbye and all that, and then it died. Of course. As is tradition. Never at a great moment. So yeah, we are trying to visualize some data. And I'm doing well. Yeah, what were you up to on your stream today? And yeah, so Bill Kauser, let me show you. We've got some data in a CSV file, right? And what we get is a distribution of the hashing. Glad I'm not doing more elite code. Well, I have a job now, so I'm good. Oh, Bilka user. Gotcha. Well, what's up, Bilka? So yeah, we're trying to take this data of how we are hashing our results into, like, we want an even distribution between 0 and 100, basically. So we've got these buckets of 20% of our users, 40% of our users, 60%, right? Like the 20% buckets within a 0 to 100, and we want that as even as possible across, that range. And we are evaluating that against all of the other hashing algorithms that Node.js ships with. What we are doing is our own custom hashing algorithm. There's also one that Graham the dev has created as well. And basically, we are way faster than some of these others. Now, keep in mind, this is for hashing 500 of these things, but if you're putting a feature flag gradual release on a hot path, possibly during a render or something, you want that to be as fast as possible. And what is also nice about Custom and Graham right here is that they're incredibly simple. So if we end up going to a language that I'm writing an SDK for my feature flag tool, I need to be able to bring that algorithm to that language, which means the simpler our hashing algorithm, the easier it is to port. Some languages might not have SHA-3 or MD5 SHA-1 or any of these other things, and we don't need them to be cryptographically secure. We're actually aiming for collisions. So these are pretty much the same types of things you would do for a hash mapping hashing function, right? Because you expect your hash map to have collisions. Our hash map only has, 5-ish buckets, right? It's really like whatever you want to decide to bucket people into, 40% of your users, 20%, etc. But you want that bucket to be evenly distributed. And you want to be able to change that based upon a seed value to get a different 20 to 40% or whatever of your users. So yeah, we're working on visualizing the distribution when using different hashing algorithms so that we can actually do that in a blog post and also evaluate if what we're doing is correct, right? Are we doing the right hashing algorithm? We want to try it with a bunch of different data types and things like that. So yeah, that's what we're doing. It's kind of fun. We're trying to generate a graph, and it turns out that I was just slightly off in the way I was thinking about this. Because I'm not getting the values input in the way I need at the moment. And yeah, we're just kind of like, fiddling with and hacking at this. Hey, what's up, Bexy? You taking off? Yeah, no worries. Thanks for chilling. All right, so then this is an array of number values. So number, array. Yes, feature flagging. Oh, I see. So you're not leaving. It's a typical thing where when you say good night, that typically means goodbye. At least here in the US, when you tell someone good night, it's a goodbye kind of thing, right? Like, I'm taking off, good night. But it's just night where you are, so I get it now. So Bilka, we are writing our SDKs in a bunch of different languages. That's why I just described the fact that I need this to be portable. right? Because it's a static file-based feature flag tool, then the languages are actually responsible for evaluating that static file. So I have an SDK written in JavaScript, Kotlin, Swift, Lua, or Lua hasn't been written yet, sorry. Swift, Rust, Go, Python, PHP, OCaml, C#. There's the one I'm missing. Did I mention JavaScript yet? I don't know. Something like that. But yeah, if you're building a feature flag tool, you need to target more than one language for consumers of those flags. And that's what we're working on. We're working on the hashing algorithm, visualizations, and making sure that it's evenly distributed so that we can use that in every language. And I know I missed one. Hold on, let me go look at the list. Oh, Elixir was the one I missed. So yeah, C#, Elixir, Go, JavaScript, Kotlin, OCaml, PHP, Python, Rust, Swift, and that's it so far. It is already open source. Keep in mind that you can't use it at the moment yet because we haven't published up the SDKs that we built out so far. And that's fine, and we could write that tufels. That's fine. What we're doing is we're building a blog post to describe it, though. So we can still use the statistical test to find that. We've got the data for it now. But at the end of the day, I still need a blog post about it for content, SEO, etc. Hold on, let me try and message someone here. I can do one quick thing. Sorry. We're also about to be doing a really big release at work. And, so I'm, like, having to, like, juggle that a bit to make sure that we're getting people testable. And yeah, exactly, tuples, right? Like, the graphs are important just for visualizing. Yeah, no worries, Belka. Have a good one. Yeah, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate the follow. So yeah, what I need to do... Nope. Hey, we got another raid. What up? Is it Spirophoria? Spherophoria? Something like that?
Thanks for the support. Spirophoria, the master of molecular manipulation, has the power to reshape and control matter at a molecular level.
Let me know how to pronounce it better and I will.
Their origin story begins in a top-secret laboratory where a mysterious, untested technology exploded, altering Spherophoria's molecular structure and granting them this extraordinary ability. They use their power for their grand scheme to reshape the world in their image, bending the laws of physics to their will. Their arch-nemesis is named Atomique, a hero with the power to harness and control energy at its most fundamental levels, sparking a battle between reshaping matter and commanding energy.
That was a pretty good one. So yeah, what were you up to today? Let's do the shout-out stuff. Doing some Zig making a video editor. Oh, that sounds really cool. And yeah, I don't think I even follow you yet. So bam, that was easy. What part of the video editor are you on right now? I'm curious about that. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the raid. So it's day one. All right, so maybe like project scaffolding, planning, discussing, you know, the bare minimum features, etc. Oh, so you're already on like the OpenGL window and getting a frame from FFmpeg. Cool, sick. So it's going to be heavily based on FFmpeg. Nice. Yeah, there's a really good tool I like called Lossless Cut, which is also a like wrapper around FFmpeg. The goal of Lossless Cut is to actually like cut and splice things, etc., in a way that doesn't cause a re-encoding, right? Because every time you re-encode, you lose some quality. So very similar. You love it? Nice. All right, cool. So you're already familiar. Oh, to cut VODs down. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, really good. That's awesome, actually. Yeah, I built a thing. Oh, I'm running out of tabs again. Called Auto Bleep. So basically, if you wanted to automatically like mute swear words, you could use Auto Bleep to do that. Like you would decide what your swear word like vocabulary is, etc. But it'll go through and insert like that beep like sound over the swear word using Whisper timestamped and FFmpeg under the hood. So that's kind of fun too. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's really cool. So I assume you're using Whisper timestamped as well? Or does Whisper have timestamping built in now? I think at the time I built this, it might not have, but I think maybe they brought it back. Like backported it or whatever. Yeah, I know. I'm running out of tabs at this point. Let's close a few. Oh, no. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Like, that's part of the, like, the joy of getting raids. Like, meeting other people in the community. Right? So, yeah. I haven't seen your stream before. I'm really pumped on it. Was this your first time streaming ever? Or have you been streaming for a while? I would assume you have been streaming for a bit, and it's just day one of the project. You've been going for a bit. Cool. Yeah, sorry I haven't seen it yet. Maybe around 6 months? That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, really good community you've built up already. Yeah, that's solid. Let me at least explain what I'm doing here on stream. Let me close a few of these. So I'm building a feature flag tool. But yeah, sorry. I got distracted. I could relaunch. I don't need to right now. So basically, we're building a feature flag tool. And that feature flag tool's main, core feature, or, no pun intended, is that it is static file-based. So to get started with it, there's no server you got to spawn and self-host. There's no service you got to pay for. It's just you use the tool, get a static file published out somewhere that's accessible via the internet that you can fetch it, and then the client SDKs do all the work of evaluating that flag file into functionality in your app, whether a user should have it or shouldn't have it, right? So a gradual release, things like that, right? There's a bunch of different types of flags that you can enable. Gradual release is the one that's most relevant right now, because when you think of a gradual release, you need to basically hash some value, like the user's ID, into a number between 0 and 100 or 0 and 1. And then that is their, what part of, the percentage of users they might be. So if you want to release out to 20% of users, you want to hash their ID into a value below 20, right? Or below 0.2. We have created our own custom algorithm for hashing a user ID or a number or things like that. And there's a couple reasons why we did our own hashing for that. So one thing to remember is that this is not a cryptographic hash. We're expecting collisions, right? Because we're hashing between a value of 0 and 100, there will inevitably be collisions there. What you can recognize about that is that it's almost like the hashing algorithm you would like for a hash map. And our map is just the numbers 0 to 100, and we're bucketing people within those various percentiles. So the main thing is this is not cryptographic, so we can do something incredibly naive. Right? So let's consider, right, we're doing it naive. It means that we can write it in any language, right? Because we have 10 SDKs already written. All of those SDKs are able to reproduce that logic very simply versus having to maybe port SHA-1 or MD5 or something like that to a language that might not have it. So what we're doing at the very moment is we have some graph data where we have, or not graph data yet, but CSV values where we take our custom, someone else named Graham had a similar one to what we have. And then there's all the other supported Node.js hashing algorithms. And what we can recognize is that ours is faster than the others, and it gets a decent enough distribution across the 20% buckets that we care about. So yeah, right? And the reason we want some speed here is because this could end up being in your hot path of your application, and you want to evaluate it as quick as possible. Because your front end and your back end should both be evaluating the flags. So, okay, would I be able to explain how that fits into existing projects, right? We mentioned a static file that will live wherever you want to host it, right? So typically you'll want to put that on S3 or, CloudFront, right? Some type of just static hosting. It could be on just a file server inside of an internal network, etc., as long as anything within that network can fetch that file. So how does that relate to things like CI and Kubernetes? You don't want your Kubernetes infrastructure to actually care about that. So you're talking about CI and Kubernetes, those are build time. If you're evaluating flags at build time, those are just environment variables. Those are not feature flags. The important aspect of feature flags is that they are evaluated at runtime. So your server that you deployed with Kubernetes is then at runtime evaluating the flags. The whole goal of feature flags is to decouple changing of functionality from your deploy process. If you're doing your feature flagging in a deploy process, you've defeated the point. Yeah, no worries, Brownhounds. Yep, exactly. So, right, if your application only takes like 5 minutes to deploy, then you probably don't need feature flagging. Especially like, and when I say 5 minutes, I don't mean just the deploy process, but also making a PR, getting it merged, getting it reviewed, all those things, right? That is what you have to consider about the entire lag time of being able to push up a feature or a feature change like that to turn something off or on. If you can do all of that within 5 minutes, yeah, your project isn't at a level of scope or scale where it's going to matter to have feature flags get evaluated, with like a 5-minute buffer or whatever. Instead, consider the worst case scenario, which is maybe a mobile app. If you want to enable a theme for maybe Christmas for your mobile app, right? Like some BS theme where it, plays a sound when you launch the app, or like snow starts falling when you do some action or something like that. But you don't want to do that all days of the year. You just want to have it enabled for specific days. You can't deploy out to the App Store that quickly, right? You're going to have at least a day of lag time to get it reviewed. Sometimes multiple days of lag time, because you're going to get it reviewed. They're going to push back and have something need to be changed. You're going to have to change it and push it up again and wait for them to review again. You're looking at easily an entire week. And that's sometimes a better case scenario than what actually happens, because reviewers are not consistent about what one person might notice and what another person might. So at that point, you cannot rely upon pushing out a feature to a mobile consumer via a mobile app in any reasonable amount of time. And if you have a new feature you shipped out, like a new payment provider, like Stripe or something, but you realize you messed up and you want to turn it off immediately, feature flags are the only way to do that. So runtime evaluation is essential. And it's part of the 12-factor app, just like environment variables are, but they solve different problems. If you've ever played something like Madden or any of those sports games, they typically ship upcoming things out weeks in advance, right? In one big like update patch. And then they'll enable some new like promotion that they're doing, right? Some new just like, set of cards they're going to release or whatever. Those are just enabled via a flag. So yeah, video games are a major portion of consumers of feature flags, especially online service-based games like Madden, etc. Like if they have some stuff in their store and they want to disable or enable a certain pack that might be glitched, yep, they would be using either a feature flag or some type of like server-based runtime evaluation, because shipping an update for that is not reliable enough and not fast enough. So yeah, hope that made some sense. Thank you, Tufels. Yeah. It's something I need to practice because I want to make meetup talks about it. I want to pitch investors on it. I want to do all sorts of stuff with it eventually. I need to make a YouTube video about it at some point. Right now, investors are not important because we got to get this thing working and published first. But eventually, if we want to build a cloud platform, that's where investment would come in. But yeah, I especially like what we're doing for, like, think about how Yeah, think about how, like, you might have internal applications at your company, right? Like stuff someone made for accounting or whatever, right? And it's used by the entire, like, accounting department. But it's not accessible from the outside world. It's all using internal data, and you don't want to have anything escape your VPC. But your deploy process to ship a change out to that is still dealing with all the checks and balances and rigmarole of QA and, just like, multi-environment deployment type stuff as well, where you want to be able to turn a feature off and on, right? A static file is incredibly cheap and easy to host inside of your VPC, rather than having to have someone maintain uptime for some, like, service that you had to, like, spin up. So yes, you can self-host, unleash, and a bunch of other things, but self-hosting a service is so much more effort than just self-hosting a static file. So does that mean the client has to constantly fetch to check if any feature flag is changed? Yes, it does, sad. So the big thing about that is you need to evaluate how often that fetch needs to happen. And that's why our feature flag tool has multiple groups, so that you can decide which groups get fetched at different intervals. You might have one group that only needs to be fetched like once every day, once an hour, something like that. Then you might have others where you want to fetch every 30 seconds. If you were to do that math of, let's just say 5 KB, right? Sure, 5 kilobytes fetched every 30 seconds. That would mean, so let's say per minute, there are 2 requests per minute times 60 minutes times 24 hours times 30 days. So you're looking at 86,400 requests from one user if they leave it running all the time, which isn't that common, but your server might be doing that. If you're doing that, 86,000 requests per month, that is actually incredibly cheap for, like, AWS S3 costs. All right, let's go verify that. Any minute now. There we go. The SDK has built-in caching. There isn't a fetch interval setting, but the client does cache the result for checking things later. It's up to the consumer to, like, actually set the interval around it, right? Because again, you might not need an interval. There's all sorts of things. Maybe you just want to fetch based upon a trigger of getting a stale flag response code, things like that. So creating the set interval is outside the scope of our SDKs, at least for now. So let's just say S3. Right, and we are going to do just standard S3, right? Data transfer, blah, blah, blah. The amount of storage, we're going to call it 5 KB. Sure, why not? Oh, and so instead, let's just call it 1 gigabyte a month. I don't know if they let us go any lower. 0.01, how about that? How will the data be moved? Sure. Average object size, we're going to call it 1. Oh, hold on, KB, 5. Ongoing monthly number of put, copy, post list requests. I mean, we'll just call that like 100. You're probably not going to be pushing flags that often. But how many get requests might you have? And that was, what, 86,400? This calculator is a bit annoying. But yeah, so far you're looking at 4 cents per user. Hopefully you're providing enough value that 4 cents isn't a problem. And keep in mind that this is also counting, like, your storage rather than just the fetching. If we look at this right here, yeah, so 86,000 get requests in a month, you're looking at 3.5 cents. That's really not bad. You should be making more off of a single user than that. And that's if you're doing as aggressive of fetching as every 30 seconds. If we turn that into every 5 minutes, which is probably acceptable for a lot of stuff, every 5 minutes gets way cheaper. Yes, so this is the GET request with the average amount of the object size. So that's 5 KB and the GET request together. They're doing that math for us, basically. Right, so here, 0.00002, hold on, where's the... maybe they aren't doing that. Data transfer? Oh, here we go. So outbound data transfer, you can get it to CloudFront for free, but let's just say internet. Enter amount at 5 KB times 86,000. That's basically 5 times 86 as megabytes. So you're looking at half a gig. Can't be a decimal, so let's just call it a gig. 9 cents. Absolutely, Brownhounds. That's what we're talking about. You can host it anywhere that you can fetch a static file, so it's just HTTP. I'm using S3 because it's the most common way most people are probably going to store these things, but anywhere you can store a static file. So yeah, that's why it's so useful for internal networks, because it's just a static file on your network. Doesn't have to be S3, doesn't have to be anything. It's just an HTTP request. Yeah. Yeah, so at this point, once we get these SDKs published up, I'm going to have a lot of time available to actually help people get these things going. If you're trying to get it into an open source project, and you're willing to like stream it, right? Or have it be streamed here on Twitch, you can hop on stream for free and I'll help you set it up, you know? Right? Using like the guest stars service. I'd be totally happy with that. That'd be awesome. So yeah, at some point, I want to say give me like a week. I probably need to like publish these up like tonight, technically, but give me like a week. And you know, at vexilla.dev, not vexilla.github.io, I need to make that redirect. You would go to services, right, open source, and you can fill out the form and contact us. Right? Let us know that you're open source. I should probably have a checkbox or something there for it. But yeah, I want to help people implement this thing, and I want to get as many users as I can, because if I can get a bunch of users, that is a great justification for seeking investment for this project. Or for at least trying to get some bigger provider to buy me. LaunchDarkly. They got deep pockets, right? With how much they charge for their service, they better. Honestly, it almost seems to me like something that Cloudflare would almost be interested in doing if they're not doing a feature flagging service like this anyway. Get Kraken that buys me? Whoever wants to do it, I'm down. But yeah, so if we go look, scheduling is absolutely part of it. Oh, but we got a bug. Oh, we got a bug. Duplicate options not supported. All right. We should go fix that. All right. More important than our hashing distribution thing Yeah, 30-second fetching is way too much, but some people might want to do that. Yeah, we need to fix this bug. I probably need to get... some, like, end-to-end testing going. That would be useful. Like, we got a lot of bugs we gotta fix. Oh, and Spherophoria, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you for the raid as well. Like, yeah, I really like it. I love how, like, raids are just such a good way of joining with the rest of the community. There's a lot of places you could host this for basically free. Yeah, like static file servers are one of the easiest things to scale, right? They're extremely performant, right? The amount of like requests per second you'll be able to serve with just Nginx on a cheap like VPS is going to be massive. Yeah, exactly. Like S3 and CloudFront is going to be basically free at that point. So, all right, we got a bug to fix. Let me go use the restroom first, though. Yeah, scaling should not be an issue for static file stuff, right? But scaling something like Unleash that you have to run as a service on its own VPS, that becomes its own bottleneck, you know? Free hosting, go burn. There you go. So give me a second, let me pee. Alrighty. So yeah. Put the flags in DNS. Right, but then like the propagation would be longer than a lot of stuff. Yeah, for like, you know, something that you can plan way in advance, for sure. Yeah, that'd be fine. All right, so over to the app. Let's stop that server for a second. We gotta fix some stuff. They go down to 1 second, but you can't necessarily guarantee that the propagation is going to be that fast. Right? You're at the whims of every server in the connection between you and the canonical DNS server. right? At least the way I understand it. I could be wrong. So even though DNS TTLs go down to 1 second, not every server in the chain is going to honor that. DNS chain typical length. Right? The way to think about DNS is that it's massively distributed. You're rarely connecting to your canonical DNS provider directly every time. Right? So the level of distribution, yeah, you're easily going to be doing multiple hops to get to the canonical value, or at least like the caching between them. So I don't know. Anyone here who does networking on a regular basis, how many typical like hops do you end up seeing between you and like the canonical DNS, right? What's like an average? For some reason, I want to say somewhere between 5 and 10. You've seen it as short as 3 and as long as 20. Okay. So your router has 2 because of the way you've configured that. But not everyone is that savvy. Right? So that's an important aspect of it. Sure, my router is probably connecting to Cloudflare's or Google's, but not everybody has actually done that. Right? The average consumer is going to be using whatever Comcast gave them. And Comcast is going to be massively caching things. For your own, you have it set to 4. Okay. Yeah, and the bread, I'm not 100%. Like, I don't deal with it enough. I just know that I have a vague idea of how DNS propagation works, and I know that you're rarely connecting to the truly authoritative DNS, especially if you're on mobile and things like that. And I mean mobile, like, outside of your network. Not just connected to your home Wi-Fi, I mean like actually on like cell service. Yeah, I mean, you guys can keep discussing it here. I got a bug to fix. So, you know, yeah, we're going to go fix that bug. So let's reproduce the error. Boom, reproduced. Okay, so Option with value UTC was provided more than once. Cell providers tend to not provide public IPs. Right, but doesn't that mean that you're still going through their DNS system, though? Right? Like, they have their own DNS service that you're going to end up going through? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, even if you're not on a public IP address yourself, when you enter a URL into your mobile browser, it still has to perform a DNS lookup, right? So yeah, they do have their own DNS servers that are separate from, like, you know, not separate, but they're further down the chain than the canonical where you have it set, right? So even if you're using an authoritative DNS server like Google or Cloudflare, they still need to get your DNS settings from wherever you have, like, your domain configured, right? So if you're using Namecheap, you're on their DNS server, and that needs to propagate out to the authoritatives, right? So there's still that, like, layer of getting that out to the shorter hops, I think. Like, I'm real fuzzy on it. But I'm understanding more as I try to explain it, I think. I'm close enough? Okay, cool. All right, so editing a feature is where we got this. And really, like, this component or page or whatever should probably get split up here at some point. So it's going to be inside of the scheduled form that we're doing this. Yeah, no worries, Brownhound. Yeah, see you again soon, right? I'm not doing leak code anymore, so yeah, we'll totally see you. Yeah, have a good night. Yep. I know, shutters. Let me log out the time zones. Oh, and unshift puts it onto the list. There we go. Okay. So what I want to do is actually... we want UTC to be at the front. Like a glove. Oh, but not. What? How did that happen? Yeah, exactly. No, it totally is. Okay, so we fixed that bug at least, but our calendar is not what we're looking for. So here it is, date picker. So Mantine dates date picker. How is that so far off? Oh, I think I know what the issue might be. I think I need to bring in the date picker's styling. I do. Yep. Wow, that looks way better now. Okay, cool. So we still have an error or an issue with this. Oh, no. Okay, so the issue is that... Hold on. Whoops. We need an environment. Now when we go here... Yeah, we got the environment part. Aha, and now we're good. So we've got a bug where if we don't have an environment set, we don't have any way of actually configuring the schedule. Aha. Okay. So what do we want to do when a user tries to start configuring a feature without environment set? Right? One way would be we just completely disallow it. You're not allowed to add a feature until you've added an environment. What I think I want to do is, yeah, like this features section doesn't show until you've set an environment, at least one. And then once you've done that, you would click into here. But what if someone accidentally deletes the environment from elsewhere and they're on this page still somewhere, or someone else maybe? Like, I don't know. We still want to probably show some type of like warning and disable all of these and redirect someone back to like the environment page. So that is a pretty reasonable issue we can go create. And yeah, if anyone wants to try and tackle a few of these, right? Like any of the issues we got hanging, I'd say you're more than welcome. That is probably one of the easier ones, but I don't think we need to do that feature just yet. Wait, hold on. Let me read this again. And yeah, Bexy, good night. Sorry. So it was fun following newspaper updates. Went from troubleshooting, debugging, making solutions, deploying, troubleshooting. 5 experts called and on their way on jet towards the airport. It took 30 hours before it was fixed. Yikes. That is gnarly. Okay, sorry, I had a weird thing in my email there, but that seems fine. Alright, so, yeah, what's everyone up to? Let's get this fix pushed up at least. All right, so that should get pushed up soon. And yeah, what's up, Sergeant Pepper? Mr. Sir. Do another one of these. Juniper router. I've never even heard of Juniper. Like, I know what Juniper is, like, in general, right? Wow, they charge $300K for a router? That's insane to me. That doesn't even seem that good. So off-the-shelf CPUs, but it can push 12 terabytes a second? Whoa. Okay. How many CPUs are in that? Jeez. Yeah, how are they able to push data so fast? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Ah, okay. That makes more sense. So then what's doing the routing? Some type of like FPGA or something? Special chips? Okay. Right? Because you could replace the Intel chip, right? So yeah, that makes sense. All right, so let's get back to our graphing now. Just had to make sure we did that right. We're gonna need to establish some better like testing and things like that for the app. But I want to get the SDKs published up soon. That is probably one of my priorities one of these nights after stream this week. But yeah, I want to get this part actually grouped up properly. So if we look at what we're doing, right, bucket index here, if we're pushing this to there, this is going to be row. And I think we just want... Wait, hold on. So we're within this function. Okay, so we got our X and Y here. We're mapping over these. We get the Y, which is then going to be the item within that Y. Yeah, I think we do want this to just be bucket index. What is that? Okay, so then for layout, we need to start setting like distribution values. Like a maximum Y. So how do we do that with Plotly? So auto size should be set to true then. Why is the scale of that going so crazy? So hover label is not what we're looking for here. Transition, data revision, UI revision, edit revision. Man, there's a lot of stuff you can configure, but I don't know. Something doesn't seem right here. Like, I'm not seeing anything for, like, the maximum value of the Y. So, yeah, I don't think it's actually in this that we configure it. In most graphing tools, it's pretty easy to set, like, the maximum like scope of an axis. Ah, here it is. Okay, so it's part of the layout. Y-axis. Auto range options, clip max. FNV1A is hitting 100. Why is it thinking that we're in seconds here? There's something I'm doing wrong in how we're transforming things then. Oh yeah, good recommendation there. Yeah, anyone got channel points to spend? There you go. Yeah, use any channel points you got. You can only do 2K per day, so no need to save them up. Let's do this for now. Rows dot, or hold on. We'll do a map first. Oh, whoops. Okay, so that helps. What we want to do maybe next is, can I give it a much wider graph and then we can just scroll it? Yeah, I could put that within a container. Yep. But these numbers are not looking right either. Aw, really, chatting? That's a bummer. I'm sorry. So hold on. There's something strange going on right here. I think I get it now. So if let's do this actually. Let value equal column. If column index does not equal 0, value is equal to number column. And there we go. All right. Okay. Ayo. All right. All right. So yeah, this graph is starting to look a lot better. We probably want to start labeling these values. And that's going to be in the y-axis configuration. And hey, what's up, Brat, Mr. Sir? Yeah, how you doing, man? Haven't seen you in ages. How you doing? Have you been streaming lately? I think last time I watched you were doing some of that zombie game. But yeah, Plotly's really good. Mainly working. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I recently started at Get Kraken, which I'm pretty proud of. My first job as an actual developer advocate, which is pretty cool. Like, really cool company. I like everyone I'm working with. How am I finding it? It's pretty good. So I'm basically their first developer advocate. Technically, they've had some like developer evangelists and other things like that before me. I'm not sure what the big difference there is. But the main reason they hired me is they wanted like a more like technical kind of person making this content, right? Because, you know, their target market are developers. They got to make stuff that speaks to developers. So, yeah, as an example, our most recent video, or maybe second most recent, Get Kraken. I got to make a video that performed really well for our channel about how, you know, like our shift to native Git from libgit2 and nodegit. So it's like, how does Get Kraken do a bunch of its, you know, logic and things like that, right? Like, how do you actually do operations for Git stuff? libgit2 and nodegit are really nice, but they're a little like behind on new Git features as things come out and as Git itself gets optimized and things like that. But the problem with native Git is that you end up having to do like regular expressions to get value out of it because it's text-based. So there's like a compare and contrast there, and there's like a lot to it. So yeah, basically, they're stoked on the technical content. I think so too. Yeah. Yep. I'm just like really stoked that someone decided to give me a chance. Because it's my first official role, but I've been kind of doing it on my own time already. A lot of companies didn't want to take a chance on it being like, you know, my first role, technically. So now that I've got this experience at least, I should be able to like land other developer advocate roles easier, you know, after this. Not like I'm planning on going anywhere yet, but having that line item on the resume is really important. M-Pasta. Thank you for the follow. Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's a couple companies that I got through a couple rounds of interviews, but they just needed someone with more experience. So, yeah. hopefully I'll be able to leverage this further into the future. And you know the best part about developer advocacy? No leak code. I just sold you on the roll, didn't I? No leak code during the interview process. Yep. For four-wheel, it's like nails on a chalkboard, hearing that. Nobody asked me to reverse a linked list in any of my developer advocate interviews. Flipping a binary search tree. Nope, didn't have to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. How's my shoulder? It's actually not as sore as it typically is after a dislocation, especially when it's been this long since a dislocation. It's definitely not like perfect, and it feels a little like crunchy. But I typically have like way more like soreness, especially on like the backside. So yeah, it's all right, you know. First time dislocating in over a year, though. Which is not ideal. I did it putting on my hoodie today. Yeah, it's so annoying. I know, they just fall apart, man. You just read about the dangers. Yep, exactly. So technically, Haspy, it's a snowboarding injury. I think shoulder dislocations is one of the most common shoulder injuries. Right up there with like broken collarbone. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you want to see... That was something that we recorded here on stream like 2 or 3 years ago now. I just waved my arm a little funky, trying to avoid hitting my microphone, and out it went. No, not at all. No, chatting, I've been dislocating my shoulder for about 15 years now. Oh, yeah. So volleyball players, typically, if you watch, like, Olympic volleyball, they have that, like, strap that goes over the front, you know, like right here. That would be exactly what I would need, but I think I'm way beyond that even doing any good anymore. So, Brett, like, no, it's typically from, like, falling. Your shoulder is going to dislocate if you try and, like, brace yourself or prevent your face from hitting something. That's how I did it. Mm-hmm. Basically, the first time I ever dislocated, it was either put my arm in front of my face after, like, catching on a box, or take the box to the grill, and I'd probably have all fake teeth up front if I did that one. So, I'll take a dislocated shoulder over a bunch of fake teeth. It's one of those things where if you get the adrenaline rush going just right, time does actually like slow down, and you actually have these moments to like think about it. It's kind of crazy. I've done some other falls where, like, you know, I'm doing like a down flat down rail and I catch on the flat, and like I'm like, you know, falling forward, and midair I'm just like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I probably shouldn't just take it straight flat to the face. I'd at least break a collarbone or something, and you know, you tuck and roll. Bam. Yeah, I've done that, like, where time slowed down and I had the moment to actually think about that. Like, oh, yeah, this is going to be real bad. You know? I really love that, like, aspect of adrenaline. Adrenaline actually slows time down. Which is also part of why people think that exercising takes longer. because your perception of time while exercising is increased due to the adrenaline and energy like part. Like, it's really cool. Wait, what do you mean chatting? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, adrenaline's magic. So wait, I'm not sure I know what you mean there. Chatting. Mad at that midair thought for being late? No, those thoughts were like all at the exact right moments. Right, the tuck and roll happened midair. Like, oh, good job, brain. Yeah, I needed to tuck and roll, and I tuck and rolled out of it. Had someone who was a pro snowboarder at the time be like, nice, tuck and roll. You know, like, yeah, it's really good. For the shoulder, like, catching thing, like, no, I had that moment where it's like, yeah, no, I just got to get my hand out. I do not want to take a fun box to the face. Oh, like that I shouldn't have caught? No, like, how you got into this bad situation is actually not relevant in a lot of those cases. That's for, like, retrospective time. In the moment, you only need to think about what you can do to make it better. Right? Coulda, woulda, shoulda doesn't help. No, this is my first time using Plotly. Technically, they had a graph that I thought I was going to use, but instead I'm just falling back to like plain old like bar graph. But there was the idea of like a box plot that seemed interesting at first, but maybe isn't that useful anymore. Right? Like a box plot I thought was going to be useful, but I don't think it's actually worthwhile anymore. I'm really liking it, Brett. I don't remember, like, I haven't had to do that much graphing. At my previous job, they had already decided and used Nevo, but Nevo isn't even that well maintained anymore. Let me double check. Oh no, so it is fairly well maintained. We couldn't update due to something that was breaking. That's what it was. Nevo's pretty solid. Yeah, I forget what we had that was breaking that we couldn't update Nevo for. I think it's mainly because we were stuck on like an old Webpack like build system. Part of like the thing I was working on before the entire team got laid off was I was porting our Webpack build process to Vite. And I think that would have opened up a whole bunch. But yeah, like we couldn't update Nevo because of just a bunch of dependency BS. But yeah, so Nevo's pretty solid. I'm liking Plotly for sure. Let's double check it. I want to see like how well maintained it might be. Yeah, looks pretty solid. 2 weeks ago, etc. Not terrible. Technically, they both build on top of D3, which is nice. $1.6K issues. Nevo only has 89. If we look at stars, Plotly has more stars. Let's see if we can find it on NPM. Alright, so we got Nevo and Plotly. I think Plotly is compelling because it's built on top, or not built on top. Basically, there are other versions of Plotly. So there's one for Python and there's one for R, right? So if you're working with a bunch of people that might have experience with those, then a lot of what they've become familiar with is transferable. Whereas Nevo, I think, is just front end only. If we look at the numbers, Plotly gets downloaded way more often, but this seems like an old version of Nevo. We just saw that their latest version was on like 0.85 or something. Last published 6 years ago. So I'm guessing they refactored into like an @Nevo. Yeah. Okay. So if we go to like @Nevo line, that's a little more respectable. So Plotly is more like full featured in one library, whereas Nevo you might be able to grab only the things you need, so it might be more tree shakeable. I haven't done any analysis based on that. This also seems like an old version of Plotly.js. I'm wondering if there's like another wrapper. So yeah, that might be your consideration, right? Which one's easier to tree shake? Right, but like Nevo line, 174,000 downloads. Plotly itself, 188,000. So they're kind of like pretty even. I think a big thing is that Nevo is like specifically React compatible. But I could be wrong about that. Let's look at Nevo bar, just in case. So yeah, like the download numbers are pretty comparable between the two. I would say that Plotly has a lot more issues though, and I'm not sure quite how relevant that might be. I think one big part is like Plotly tries to get you into like a pricing thing, whereas Nevo, as far as I remember, doesn't. Yeah, I don't see any like pricing junk or anything like that. I think I might like the Nevo docs better too. My guess is you probably wouldn't go wrong with either. The fact that they make you do an email is not ideal, though, right? Like, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Yeah, no, I was curious too, so yeah, no stress. It does seem like Nevo has a lot like of varied chart types too. So Nevo might be the one you're looking for. They got a storybook. Like, yeah, it's pretty solid. And what's up, Fool Dev? How you doing there, Lone Wolf? So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna do Plotly for my blog post. Not sure it's entirely necessary. How about this? Let's do something like bundle phobia. Yeah, so I would bet money that Nevo is actually more tree shakeable. Chart.js does seem pretty useful too, though. High charts is another popular one. Yep. Yeah, so high charts or charts.js might be your move. It's a lot of config. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm almost thinking that I might want to refactor what we're doing away from Plotly. Because, yeah, React Plotly is just plot. Let me look at this. Let's try it in here. PNPM build. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got errors we got to fix if we want to do that. So yeah, that's gross. That is really gross. Yeah, dude. How big is this file? So yeah, that's only 3K of CSV data. So this was not wrong. This was definitely not wrong. Yeah, because it's usually not that accurate. But yeah, no worries, Four Wheel. Enjoy your dinner. Yep, I'm going to have to start thinking about dinner here soon. Yeah, we're gonna have to refactor to Nevo. Yeah, Naughty Knitter wants Subway. Nice. Do you have any other like sandwich places nearby, like Jersey Mike's or any of those? And yeah, like, is it too deep? Is it like comically deep? Okay. Yeah, I did crank up the EQ for the bass a bit. Yeah, Jersey Mike's is good. No, Cotter, this is through OBS. No, through OBS, you would right-click the mic in your audio mixer, go to Filters, and you would click the plus button, and there's 3-band equalizer there by default. Or you can get other, like, VST plugins that are more robust. This one's good enough. So yeah, there's no tree shaking or nothing. Yeah, so Plotly is not the move. Plotly is really just not the move. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bummer. So hold up, wait. We could go to Claude. I mean, Brett, did you see? After gzip, it's still a megabyte. Yeah, so do not use Plotly. No one should ever use Plotly for front-end stuff ever again. Right, as an example, if we just go comment it out. Oh, I got to do something inside of it, though. Right? So, not ideal that it still has the overhead of React in general. But man, so much better than it could be. Yeah, so Plotly. Plotly's a no-go. For something that needs to be on a marketing site, yeah, Plotly is a terrible idea. So here's what I'm going to do next. We're going to relaunch this. We're going to do a refresh. We're going to inspect element, head to the console. I'm going to grab that to here, get rid of all those. So we got the 3. Oh, shit. But now I can't do it that way. So what I want to do next is... There are alternative bundles, but they're still pretty big. Yeah, sounds about right, Sap. So instead, what I'm thinking is... I want to do a slice. Wait. Am I not doing that right? Let me get rid of another log value we got. Oh, that's right. Because we did this. But that isn't right either. Right, that gives us the 3. Cool. Copy object. We'll do that to format it. Nice, that's looking better too. So now I can take this and let's plug it into something like Claude. Where the hell did fries and sandwich come from? And this is way more stuff. Like, whoa. I know, right? Like, damn, man. All right, I'm getting hungry. This is probably a good moment to call it. Our goal tomorrow is going to be, let's refactor. And it does look pretty straightforward, right? Like the data shape we want to like build this into shouldn't be too bad. But wow. Yeah, the size of Plotly. I should have checked that way earlier. Like, way earlier. Let's go raid Acorn. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I'll be over on Gaming Channel. Edgar, thank you for the follow. J Core, thank you for the follow as well. Appreciate you. I think those were the only ones we missed. Yeah, I'll be over on Gaming Channel. Gonna eat some food. We're gonna watch some show while we do that. And I'll probably need to get a little bit of work done, and then we'll hop into some games after I get some work done. So yeah, we'll watch probably like a whole movie or something. Once that movie's done, then I can hop into a game. And yeah, should be good. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out. We had a really good day today. And what's up, Bob? Yeah, I'll see you over on gaming. Damn right. So, YouTube, thank you all for chilling. Have a great rest of your night. I will see you again soon. Twitter,